Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. Welcome back. In today's video, we will discuss what is discourse analysis, its focus areas, types, and approaches. We will also discuss why discourse analysis is important. Discourse analysis is the systematic study of language in use. It's study of language that is used in a context. It is concerned with how language, spoken, written, or multimodal, is used to communicate, construct meaning, shape social relationship, and reflect or produce power structure. So, discourse analysis studies language in a context. It sees how language is used to communicate or construct meanings or shape relationships and power structure. Unlike traditional linguistics, which may focus on grammar, phonetics, or syntax in isolation, discourse analysis looks in a real-life context, examining how people use language, what their purpose was, and what were the particular settings. So, discourse analysis studies language with aim how language was used, why language was used, and in what context it was used. Discourse analysis asks what is being said, whether it may be written, oral, or through some multimodal form, how it is being said, who is saying it, and what context is being used, and what are its possible effects. So, discourse analysis asks or investigates these points. It is not just interested in what people say, but also why they say, how they say, and what impact it has on the listener or a reader. So it doesn't limit itself to the question what people say, but why, how, and what impact it has made. This is also part of discourse analysis. What are the core areas of discourse analysis? Let's talk about the core areas of discourse analysis. Language beyond sentence. Discourse focuses on longer stretches of language, like conversation, speeches, interviews, news articles, or social media posts, not just individual words or sentences. So, discourse analysis goes beyond sentence, beyond words. It doesn't focus on mere words or sentences, rather, it takes conversation being taken place in a particular context, speeches, interviews, or articles. Context matters. Discourse is always situated. Analysts look at the social, cultural, political, and institutional context in which the language occurs. So, a context is very important because discourse analysis investigates the language in use in particular context. So, language has always some meanings, it's never neutral. So, the analysts they investigate the social, cultural, political, or institutional backgrounds where discourse has taken place. Next one is meaning is constructed, not conveyed. Meaning is not fixed, it's a fluid. It is shaped through interaction, tone, emphasis, pauses, and cultural references. The meanings are not limited to some particular words. They are not fixed. They keep on changing with the use of context. So, how meaning are constructed or shaped as a result of some interaction by emphasizing some particular thing, change of tone, by pausing or referring some cultural issues. Another core area of discourse analysis is power and ideology. Particularly in critical discourse analysis, language is studied as a tool that can maintain or challenge power. For example, how media frames political issues or how institutions communicate authority. So, concept of ideology and power. But power relations have been used in the language, and what ideologies has been conveyed through communicating some language or words. Another core area of discourse analysis is identity and representation. Discourse analysis analyzes or explores how people use language to position themselves and others, constructing identities, whether maybe as an expert, victim, leader, and so on, and representing groups or ideas in particular contexts or ways. For example, us versus them, presenting in groups positively and out groups negatively. So this also is one of the areas of discourse analysis. So identification, different identities, how the discourse is used to create identities, how it is being used to represent someone. If we talk about types of and approaches being used in discourse analysis, one of the approach is conversation analysis. It's micro level focus, and it analyzes how people take turns in conversation when people talk, how long they hold stage, how often they take turns, and how long they hold the stage. Another area or type is critical discourse analysis. As I've talked in previous slides, its main objective is explore or investigate power, ideology, or inequality. How news, for example, how newspapers represent or present immigrants, how politicians represent themselves or outgroups or others. Narrative analysis and other approach or type, it focuses on storytelling, how the stories are told, how narrative is being built. For example, live story in interviews. So what values they have created through narration. Another approach that can be used in discourse analysis is multimodal analysis. Multimodal mean other than written language or spoken language, it may be some visual representation, it may be sounds, it may be gestures, or an other form of non-verbal communication. For example, how YouTube videos use speech, text, and visual to persuade, how people use language or make videos to persuade or influence or convince others. Another approach that is used in discourse analysis is corpus-based analysis. Corpus-based discourse analysis, analyzing large language data sets of language use, analyzing large data sets. For example, electronic data that is difficult to handle without machine or some electronic devices. So this is also done in discourse analysis. For example, studying patterns in political speeches using software. So we can use different softwares that can analyze use of language. For example, NCOG and other software that can be used to analyze electronic data. Now, let's take an example and try to understand how does discourse analysis works. For example, a politician says, we need to protect our borders from outsiders who are taking our jobs. So we protect borders, outsiders taking jobs. So one in group, one out group. So across borders, out groups, and in groups, we citizens, and how they're presented, threatened, as a threat to jobs. Discourse analysis might examine metaphor of protection and outsiders, creating us versus them narrative. Framing of the immigrant as a threat. So they are being presented as a threat. We need to protect borders, so it's that being presented as a threat. Intended audience and their possible response. So what are the intended audience? The local people or natives. Why do we study discourse analysis? What's the importance of discourse analysis? Let's talk about it. Discourse analysis helps to uncover hidden meanings, biases, and power relations. So through discourse analysis, we can explore the meanings that are hidden, biasness that are apparently invisible, or power relations. It informs policy critique, education reforms, media literacy, and social justice work. So for these purposes, it is being done. It gives insights into how language shapes thought, culture, and identity. So how the language is being used to shape the minds of the people, to make their opinion, influence the culture, change, or you can say strengthen the culture, or create identity or present identity. If I summarize, discourse analysis is about more than just words. It's about how language functions in a real life. So its focus is analyzing language, how it functions in real life, to construct realities, identities, and social order. Whether it's a text message, a news headline, corporate memo, discourse analysis asks what is really going on beneath the surface structure. So things that are invisible. It investigates, explores, or highlights the things or objectives behind the words, or things that are uncovered or hidden. I hope you have understood discourse analysis. If you have any questions, please write in the comment box. Thank you. Take care. Have a nice day.